quite according to plan. Complications arose, ensued, were overcome.
I think anytime you come into a movie that you feel has the ability to extend its life, that the characters are so interesting that you could create more stories about them and embellish their characters, you want to make more.
The audience thinks the compass is broken. There's no scene that says, Jack knows, it points to Elizabeth.
We kind of put everything we could think of into the first one, so when they said, hey, we'd like a sequel, we're kind of going, what do we do for a sequel?
But I think the fun of the first one is that it creates this very interesting world, and that audiences wanted to see more of that world.
It's feeling like day 41. There's only 189 days left. And stamina is declining.
They started talking about the sequel, and you know, we were all very excited about it. And then they said, okay, well, let's do 2 of them back to back. I said, no, please, I beg you, let's not do 2 of them back to back.
Okay, red light now, quiet on stage, please. Here we go.
The main reason is to keep the talent together, and that's hard because every one of them has a superstar career. Everybody wants them, they're really highly sought after. And to bring them back and do a continuation of these characters is expensive. And there are a lot of other directors that are chasing the same talent.
Everything's going exactly according to plan.
Fantastic, just as planned.
Everything's moving according to plan. It's fantastic. We have a little bit of a hiccup, but you know, basically we're on track and everything's going pretty much according to plan. What's your name? Thank you.
Garofalo.
And what are you getting today?
I want this one. And typhoid, I believe. I'm getting shots. Boo hiss.
I hate shots. I really do.
I don't like needles.
We're getting the shots because we're going to St. Vincent, Dominica, Exumas, the Grand Bahamas, and we gotta be ready.
This time around, it's a road movie. Unlike the first movie that shot mostly in Los Angeles. And being a road movie, now we have settled on not only St. Vincent, but Dominica, which is a few islands north of St. Vincent in the chain, in the Lesser Antilles. It's a great island, very lush, very remote. And it'll be interesting to see when we show up with 400 of our closest friends on the logistics on that island.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
And in the process of the tank aspect of the picture, it turns out there was a production entity starting to build a facility in the Bahamas for a studio. Nobody's going to come necessarily to the Bahamas for stages, but they would come for a tank.
Okay, Buck, so what day of principal photography is it?
Well, this is the greatest day of our lives this year.
Today is day 1 of 200 days of Pirates of the Caribbean.
1 of 200 or plus.
Well, today, believe it or not, is the first day of production. Hallelujah. We've made it. We could have prepped for another year and still wouldn't have been any more ready or better prepared than we are. And I think most production departments would like more prep time because, you know, you only get one chance at prep. But in our case, we needed to go.
Kevin, a little bit to your right. Yeah.
Talk to me in, 12 weeks. We'll see how we're doing.
It's gonna be some hard ones, but it's how to pace yourself. Let's talk on day 200.
It's a good way to start here in LA because rather than sort of kick off, get on a charter, leave home, and oh my God, we're in the third world country and we're starting. So it gets everyone together. You start to gel, you start working together again, and that way you go off and you've got some work under your belt and you're on a roll already.
200 days of filming is a lot. It's almost, it's almost 2/3 of a year, so it's a lot of work.
But that's okay, we all love each other. We love each other, and it's gonna be good.
It's been amazing on every level. Certainly with the cast, having all the cast, the original cast back has been incredible. But as well, having the majority of the same crew from one, because we were on that film for such a long time. It was really quite a big shoot. So you get very, very close. You become kind of like this sort of weird gypsy family, like a circus, a traveling circus.
St. Vincent, it was exactly the same as last time, which was very confusing when we all got back there and thought we really haven't left. We really have been doing this for the last 2 years and never stopped.
Roll sound. Background action.
There was a feeling like, did I just finish the last movie last night and I've just been to sleep and I'm coming back in? It was exactly the same. The set that we'd left extraordinarily survived 3 hurricanes. Goes to say a lot for Hollywood set builders.
Our department construction for Pirates 1 did an enormous amount of construction here. One of the reasons we're here is that we have so much infrastructure here to begin with. And it is the perfect place to shoot Port Royal. Over the course of time, the weather has had its toll on a lot of elements. Our dock over there collapsed in a giant swell right before the director's scout in December. So we were frantically trying to rebuild that. And it looks a little bit different, but pretty much it's the look of the first Pirates. I think about to here. The other ship. Okay. Like that.
We felt it important that we start our P2 there. It was the place where the first film took place, Port Royal, and so that really gives us a sense of where we are in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay, here we go, stand by. Hook out of the water, raise the hook out of the water. Hook. Okay, get the hatch, just raise it out of the water so it doesn't sink. Raise it out, pull it out. Okay, now drop it into the water. Thank you, raise the hook out of the water. We're rolling. And action, everyone.
Yes, we're back on the water. It's good to be back.
Everything's going exactly according to plan.
It's the toughest thing to do in film production is shooting on water. It's never the same. The boat's constantly moving.
Well, it's just kind of
Find boys and girls
standing on marbles
over there. We'll take it to them.
Everything keeps changing.
Hand that to you and I'll come and get it.
You know, right when you line it up, everything moves. Everything's
We're going to the fishing boat.
Constantly in flux.
And a case of water.
Hey, Will, you're going to be losing that bow line pretty soon, right?
Yeah, pretty soon. I almost want to just give it to Providence, right?
Big challenges in St. Vincent. We only had 4 background tall ships. And we had this Beckett's office set, and looking out the window, well, Gore would say, well, I want background here or here. So we were constantly having to move the boats around, having to shut them down, having to start them up. You guys have to wait. You have to go here. You have to go there. I mean, we had boats that were painted different colors on different sides so we could turn them a different way and it would be a new ship doing something else. It's going okay. 2 boats that don't have motors though, so it makes it a little more challenging as you're tugboating everything around. And then we have a lighting barge as well to get that locked off in the perfect position. And then we have water transpo going the whole time, so it's kind of busy in the harbor right now. We're just trying to keep it safe and not run into anything. We have mooring lines all over the place too, so a lot of stuff to keep track of.
And so we're on the 17th hour of our day, and we're still trying to kill bilge pumps on boats to get the shot. We haven't got a shot off tonight, and we have 10 to go.
Making these movies look as beautiful as the first one, it's all about positioning boats for the right light and getting sails full, so that means in the right wind.
Well, like everything on this movie, it's clockwork, precision.
The water is moving and cameras are moving.
It's precision filmmaking at its finest.
The boat is moving and light is moving. It's
perfection.
And wind is moving and everything is moving.
We need to find a flaw because otherwise we might insult the gods, and we don't want to do that.
We're not doing as much boat work here in the Caribbean because it's stuff that needs to be in overcast weather, in the rain, on a gimbal. So we've taken all our boat work to the Bahamas into the tank.
There's no need water, hold it up. So when the hurricane comes, it will blow away the sun. So easy.
I think there's nothing stronger than the joke of the head being left behind. Like the headless guy holding the chest, maybe thinks he's holding the head. You know, it's like he doesn't know he's holding the thing.
Plus everybody else goes, you know, he runs away, they laugh and they all leave. And the headless guys.
We figured that if we were going to write a script that made the crew come out and spend, 10 weeks in paradise, it was our obligation to be there with them the whole time.
Barbosa's original plan I don't think, was to be on a ship.
There's also the interesting fact that we're shooting both Pirates 2 and Pirates 3 at the same time, and we haven't finished the Pirate 3 script yet. So I think it's sort of like, and let's keep them close by and away from any distractions and where we can monitor them at all times.
I think Barbosa would have the same thought process.
Barbosa's thinking, no, I've done you a good deed.
We know the story. We have the story nailed down. So really what we're talking about is, well, what's the dramatization of the story moments? And I know it's nerve-wracking for the studio and for the producers and everybody else to actually be shooting a scene without having the entirety of the script in place. But that's pretty much how Terry and I work anyhow.
We also spoke a little bit about the power in performance of ambiguity. I guess it's not something you want to lean on a whole lot, but it could work. It could work for you.
That's what we tell the actors anyway. It'll improve your performance not to know what the hell you're doing. Trust us.
It could work for you. You never know.
You're all instinct anyway.
Okay, so we can make those changes. Put it down. Right, we're off.
Well, anytime you make a movie, it's a challenge. But when you try to prepare 2 movies back to back, that's a serious challenge. You just don't get the kind of preparation time that you need for the second movie, let alone the third movie, because you got to worry about what you're shooting. All he has to say to her is I lived up to my bargain.
Yeah, our deal is done.
Our deal is done. When you finish 2, 3 becomes, where's our prep time? What happened? It's all gone. You know? And it causes, sometimes production delays, but hopefully that won't happen to us.
Hey, just pass on to Pizza Green. There's a lot of debris floating around in there, just so he knows.
I showed up for my first day on this job, and they said, okay, we have this shot we need you to do. There's these coffins being dropped off a cliff. I had to go into the water and shoot from the water side, coffins being dropped from a cliff, but there were 20-foot waves smashing into the cliff and sending water literally 50 feet up into the sky. I had 2 safety divers looking out behind me for big sets of waves coming, and we literally had to stop filming, turn around and duck dive our cameras through these giant swells that could have just tossed us right onto the cliff. Gore has gotten very interested in exploring the interface of where water and air meet. He wants the audience to feel like they're right down there at water level, where the water is flowing, and there's a lot of water flowing in the Caribbean.
Where are we and what were you doing since 3 a.m.?
Well, since 3 a.m. I've been standing in the port, soaking wet in the rain, sweating like a pig, loading this boat. But we're about got it, and I'd say by 6:30 we'll be out of here. St. Vincent to Dominica, we're sea, land, and air. We're putting all the rolling stock, the boats, and all the containers on this ship. It's about a 10-hour boat cruise over there. I'm going to ride the boat over. The fellas will be there at, let's say, 3 a.m. to unload. I would say right here we have 225 pieces of equipment that, trucks, cars, things that roll around. Literally, these ships that we're loading are 600-foot long freighter ships, and we're loading them to the point where, I'm not exaggerating, you couldn't get a motorcycle on. I mean, that's how tight we are on all of our vessels. You can't, literally 1 inch between trucks and walking over lashing. I think the hours are getting tough and the travel times are tough. I think it's more of an exercise in sleep deprivation. That's the biggest challenge, is keeping your crew rested and being safe. But you always feel good if you do the right things and you get through it, no one gets hurt, and you get there on time. And it's, like any job, if you do it well, you're satisfied. So you just hope you do the best you can.
Goodbye, St. Vincent. Bye, St. Vincent.
We are at the airport in St. Vincent, and we are moving the crew basically from St. Vincent to Dominica, so we can start shooting over there.
Verbinski.
Most people have never even heard of the country Dominica. Most people get confused with Dominica Republic. It's just untouched, and that's what Gore wanted in the film, a place that just had never been used, and it doesn't have a bunch of houses and telephone poles and, you know, human existence.
Dominica is very primitive. It's an eco-island. It's a gorgeous island, and it had the elements that were in the screenplay. It had the greenery that we wanted. It had the lushness of the jungle that we wanted.
It's the most beautiful island. I think it's got something, what is it, like 364 rivers and 14 waterfalls, and I mean just hot springs and amazing. So naturally, it's absolutely stunning. But
Originally, when they brought up Dominica, everybody said the exact same thing. Number one, you're insane. Number two, how are you going to shoot this? And number three, you're insane. It doesn't have the infrastructure for us. It's so big, it's so spread out. No matter where we shoot, somebody will have to drive at least 2 hours each way to work every day. It's very exciting. All these new people. I think we've just doubled the population.
We've had to build roads into places that, again, people have never shot. They're up mountainsides, down onto beaches.
A rational person would not go there. And not only are you going there, but you're going to bring 500 of your closest friends and hundreds of tons of equipment.
When I first came here, I brought on some local guys to help me facilitate all the things that we do here, just kind of be the local staff. And I tried to warn them of what was actually coming, and I tried to warn the government and tried to warn everybody, and everyone kind of gave lip service. Yeah, no problem, we're ready for it. And when the circus finally rolled into town, they were amazed. They said they could never fathom that it would be this big, this large, and this complicated to actually make a movie.
Welcome to the circus.
Yeah, it's rough, man. I think it's the old adage, seeing is believing. And even though they hear and it registers in their mind that you're going to have over 50 rolling stock, 20 containers, and all the logistics, once they start to see it, I mean, we literally had a procession from one end of the island to the other of our equipment as it came out of the port to the north end of the island. And we have way too many people here for what the infrastructure can support.
It's completely undeveloped. And it's very rugged terrain, so it's very difficult to move around. And again, no hotel, very few hotels. People have to live on different islands. Hard enough making a movie when everyone lives right next to the location. You go to your location and shoot, but add in, 100 degrees. You can't get there. Everyone lives on different islands. It's extremely trying.
It's moving an army. There's 500 crew people working away between effects and animals, special effects and visual effects and stunts and extras and wardrobe. And there's the focus of what's happening in front of camera, and then just this massive circle of support that has to get us to that place. And it is a lot.
Truly, the Hollywood drivers, the good ones, are the best drivers around, because we go to places where trucks aren't supposed to go. We do it every day of our lives in LA. I mean, to us, if we have an inch on each side, we're good. An inch, we made it, right? Sometimes a quarter inch is good. We made it.
Going up was easy.
Nothing to it.
Wait till we have to go down.
It takes a whole day to do it. And no matter what, it's a day to load and a half a day to unload. And you're lucky if no one gets killed and the back end of a truck doesn't get ripped off. It's amazing. I don't know of any place else, certainly in the United States, where we could have taken over the roads like we have. 90% of the time we park the whole company on the road, a 2-lane narrow road in the mountains, and then people go by 1 lane at a time.
Word on the street, stay out of the street. We've had 9 near-death experiences, 4 very close calls, and a piece of bamboo got run over.
The government, to my knowledge, never had a problem with it, and we really were fortunate. Otherwise, we'd have still been shooting. If we had to be, the equipment had to be as far away as the closest big soccer field, it wouldn't have worked.
The police have all worked with us really well to control the roads and control the traffic, and I think generally it's been moving the way that we planned on it. The only thing that caused some problems with the torrential rainstorms, and it seems like every time we move to a location, the first day we're there, it rains really hard and we end up tearing up the playing field that we park on.
We're not shooting. We're not shooting today, right now. It's raining. Yeah, it was blasting sunny yesterday when we scouted.
It's raining.
Again.
Every 10 or 15 minutes, it pours with rain here. The sky goes black, and we just have to wait under umbrellas until it goes away.
Whoa, whoa. Nice.
Weather's an issue, and we get a lot of rain that comes and goes. And right now, as I'm talking to you, it's about 240 degrees on the Venusian surface.
Now that the humidity's at 92%, it's even better. And I'm wearing a t-shirt. Look at the state of that.
I personally can't wait to stop sweating. I want to get home. I've been sweating now for 5 weeks. You know, I can't remember what it's like to be cold. The coldest we've ever been on the island.
Fatigue is an issue, you know, in the heat, performing these things in the heat, in those heavy wardrobe. You know, they're wearing coats and wigs, and it's tough, real tough duty.
Yeah, only about 90. And now we have this gentle incline to walk up to lunch. Take a look at the roller coaster.
But this is all part of the pirate fitness program. You know, you don't need your gym membership. You just need to work on pirates. You just need to work on a Gore and Jerry film, and that will get you in great shape.
This is great. Who needs a gym?
You had to be fit on this film to get to and from the set alone. Forget the day's work, the 12 hours, the no sleep. Just to get to the locations was a workout.
It has been a very physical production, but it's all sort of in the spirit of the world of, you know, the pirate movie.
Pirate's life for me.
When I say physical, I mean it's very present. The sets are all used to their full advantage, and there is some blue screen, of course, but a lot of it is actual, you know, action. It's real action.
Yeah, the wheel.
Okay, here we go. Set, let's roll sound.
We have this enormous sword fight on this huge wheel.
The running joke is Ted, Terry, and Gore are all going to be strapped into this wheel, and we're just going to send it off.
Well, today Johnny Depp's in the wheel, so everybody's a little bit cautious. So, no pressure. Life is good. I love the pressure. Gotta have pressure. If not, what fun is it?
It was such an absurd and such a bizarre request for one grown man to ask of another, you know. Okay, what we'd like to do now is, bind you inside the wheel and give you a sword, and we're going to tether the other guy in, and you guys are going to fight as the wheel is rolling. You're going to go upside down like several times.
Spent a lot of money to try to feel like that over years.
Nothing they could ask would surprise me anymore, you know. Johnny, we're going to put you in a cannon and vault you out to sea. You okay with that? Sure. Let's do it.
Let's hear it for Captain Jack.
We spent many days harnessed on the inside of a wheel, just like doing crazy fights going up and down and round and round. I mean, it would make a really fun sort of ride in an amusement park if it weren't so uncomfortable.
I wouldn't try that at home. Let's roll camera, let's roll the wheel, and action!
Upside down, right way up, upside down, right way, which is always good after lunch, I found. And it's pretty demanding on a body that isn't designed to do that. But, you know, one of the brilliant things that Gore's trying to do and is getting is us like this, upside down with the veins on our forehead sticking out, going round and round and round, or running around on the top of the wheel, or whatever it is. If you can get those pieces in, then obviously the audience's suspension of disbelief becomes much more extended because they stay in it rather than going, oh, look at that effect.
Cut it! Cut! Check the gate! Cut!
Nicely done. Nicely done. Gore has a saying, which is that CG is not a verb, because often people will say, don't worry about it, just CG it. And part of the implication of that is that you can't just do anything with CG. CG has to be used, in the right way at the right time, intercut with and building on live action that basically sells to the audience's eye that you really are there. And we're delivering to the audience the real thing on the real locations where this stuff would have actually taken place.
Having said I've forgotten what it's like to be cold,
Pirates of the Caribbean always has a way of granting your every wish. So we had a scene where when the cage drops, we fall into this this lagoon.
Gorge, see that opening right there?
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
Gore and I fell in love with this place when we saw it. We actually saw it driving on Scout on one of those like folders, you know, like one of those Welcome to Dominica tourist folders. You know, you go to see all these girls and they're, oh, what is that? And it drives, oh, it's up there in the mountains. Let's go check it out.
It was in the rainforest, and it actually is a gorge with a waterfall at the end of it. It was probably 100 feet long, and it kind of serpentine passage. You know, it was dark, and it had trees and the rainforest over. It was, you know, breathtaking location.
You know, that's where the name Gorgeous is coming from, because it is really gorgeous.
It was a very hot day. We all jumped in our bathing suits and found it very refreshing. Little did we think that we would be back and shooting in it for 2 full days and find it less than refreshing.
It's strange to come to the Caribbean and freeze.
That water had to be about 40 degrees. Not much over 32. It was close to being freezing. It warmed up through the day, but we don't really want to talk about why the water was getting warmer. Yeah, really cold.
So there we were swimming, people pushing equipment on rubber rafts. Poor Marty, we would have to carry him or swim him in by rubber raft because, again, the water's deep and it's also rushing at you. So you're kind of going up current, trying to paddle your way to the spots that Gore's picked inside this cave.
Funny way to get to the office, huh?
Some of our cast members we had to put in it, don't forget, are not young people. The gentleman plays Cotton is an old elderly man and so forth.
You okay? I'm fine. Good.
Immersed in water for 5 hours, 6 hours, non-stop, and I mean non-stop. I'm kicking my ankles on submerged rocks time after time. But guess who are the only people standing up at the end of the first day? Kevin McNally and David Bailey. I mean, you've got to know that I'm 67 years old, and Gore had nothing better to do than give us close-ups, because everyone else had got off the shot.
How'd it go, sir? Exactly according to plan.
Like it took 2 days, but we did it, and I'm not going back in.
But the most fantastic place. And you know, one of the great things about filming this is you go to places that you would just never see. I mean, this is a gorge that's only 10 feet wide. It's a sheer rock face down to this beautiful clear water. So that's one of the upsides of shooting pirates.
I must say that is one of the best things about what we do in our business, is we travel the world, but we don't do it as tourists. We almost do it as we become semi-locals. And to be to these places like the island of Dominica, which is an incredibly beautiful place, but it's definitely off the beaten path. And to find yourself living way off the beaten path for a couple of months will change your life. It'll inspire you.
One other beautiful sunset in the Caribbean.
I mean, I knew from the off, once we got the scripts, and we also knew that we were doing 2 in a row, that A, you're saying goodbye willingly to a year of your life. And part of that is to go to places that you've never been and to, deal with the conditions as and how you find them. And it's not always easy, but it's the adventure, isn't it?
It's an adventure. It's just the adventurous spirit of the pirate movie. And in order to give the pirate movie that adventure, I think you need to have that adventure within yourself. And it's like being in a pirate movie half the time. Jumping into water, jumping off beaches and off boats. You're actually living the ride, as they say.
Stand by. Wide, please.
Yeah, the bone cage sequence was
Ready and action!
The bone cages are very inventive. They're a lot of fun. They were very difficult to get the structure that we needed and to make them solid enough that we could roll these people in it. It's, again, one of those things that looks great on a page and a script, but what do we make it out of? We make it out of steel, we make it out of metal, we make it out of rubber, we make it out of plastic. I mean, the designers will come up with something really interesting, but will it function? Will it work? Will it not collapse?
Looking forward to the ride?
No, but I'm here.
We literally harnessed them in there, strapped them in like sort of spiders in this ball, and assure them that they were going to have fun doing this.
It's an ungainly thing. We're literally, again, trying to do this without CGI. We're putting 6 people in each cage and rolling them down a hill. Ouch.
Well, we've been filming this cage for quite a while, and we've got a mix of stuntmen and actors, and I think Gore decided he really wanted close-up of the actors screaming, so he thought the best way to do that was to put us inside, which he did, and no acting required.
Ready and action!
We pick up the cage and we're running with these cages, and when you have 6 people holding up a cage and running, it's like, everybody's in there, and if one person makes a false move and trips, then everybody goes down and everybody's legs are between the cage, and so it's just, it was funny and a mess.
This is the last day in Dominica, and Gorge is trying to punish us. That's what it is.
It was pretty difficult to navigate with 6 people and 12 legs sticking out of this thing and trying to run in unison down there. I think everybody was happy about the work that they did, but also glad to see the last of the bone cages. It is the last, isn't it?
I am so excited about this last shot here in Dominica. I can't wait to call it. You see the hill up here? We're going to roll a bone cage all the way down the hill with dummies in it. It's going to jump this cliff, and we should go out with a bang.
Okay, ready? Ready and action!
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Keep going. I hope we kept going.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little tense. Everybody wants off this rock.
I'm ready to get off this island of Dominica.
I feel tired and I want to get off this island. Somewhere flat, where there's no more hills to climb.
Goodbye, Dominica. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. See ya.
Bye, Dominica. This weekend we are moving to the Exumas, which is the southern end of the Bahamas. And there we're doing part of the start and the finish of our 3-way sword fight. Basically out on this little island called White's Key that spends half the day underwater due to the tides. We will shuttle by boat every day to 2 large landing craft. From the landing craft, then we will restage to the location. So that'll be an interesting challenge there because everything has to come and go back by water.
Dominica, thank you.
You look like a roadie.
I feel like a roadie. I am a roadie.
And then we're on to Freeport, to the next location in the Bahamas, which is our tank location.
We don't know what this tank's going to look like. It definitely isn't going to look like what we planned to, because there was a lot of problems. So it's not going to look like what we were expecting, like we thought it's going to look like, what, a year and a half ago when we were planning this. But still, we're just hoping for a decent shelter that we can just anchor our boats and have access with all the equipment.
The original goal of the tank is to have control. You can build these moorings at the bottom of the tank where you can tie down your ships and you can rock them and roll them and tear them apart, which you can't do out in the middle of the ocean.
We need the controlled situation of a tank, especially for our night work where Derek needs to light those boats, backlight them from cranes, from barges. We need the protection of a tank for our sets.
We've had so many meetings on this tank trying to figure out a way to make it work for us, and we've had other options, going to other islands, coming back to LA. But this is the most efficient way to do it if we could ever get it finished. But you never know what's going to happen with the weather or the workmanship, so we're cautiously optimistic of what's going to happen.
One of the things that I think, you missed in the first movie for a Caribbean movie was that turquoise water, that really bright fluorescent blue turquoise of the ocean that you get only in the Caribbean. And that is something that has been very well covered on this movie.
Look at this. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the Exumas were one of the most beautiful of all the islands. It's got this gorgeous aqua water, and it's just amazing to look at. And we use that to our advantage. When you see it on the screen, you won't believe it's real.
Exumas had some of the most beautiful white sand beaches you would ever see. And we've done something that I'm sure no other movie has ever done. We've picked a location to film at that during part of the day is completely underwater. By that time, nothing would faze me. Okay, so the location's underwater.
The tide actually completely buries the island.
or the spit, or the sandbar, or whatever we're calling this at this point.
Who picked this spot anyway?
That would be Gore.
So the idea was to find a spectacular piece of sand that from an aerial shot would have this great image of three guys sword fighting across it. So Gore and the art director and myself and the DP all went for helicopter rides through the Bahamas looking for this perfect island.
We got in a helicopter and we came in, we landed, and I said, this is it. And then by the time we got home, we realized that half of it, when tide comes in, disappears.
We're at Waikiki. We're on the barge at Waikiki.
On a barge out in the middle of the ocean.
This again went to another level of filmmaking. To get in a boat in the early mornings and to go on a 20-minute boat ride out to the middle of the ocean and to see all our equipment trucks floating on two barges was for me a sight beyond sights. There's Hollywood floating in the middle of the Exumas. Our grip trucks and our camera trucks, our caterer, all floating out there. What an organization that was. To be able to get your equipment, to load into another boat, and then to be transported to an island. You don't get experiences like this, you know, it's just phenomenal.
There's a shark sighting out there.
That was the day that we were doing a longboat, and we took the longboat and we headed out. We got into some deeper water, and all of a sudden this little nurse shark shows up, and you know, most of the crew aren't familiar with sharks and that kind of thing, so it's a little unnerving, and we immediately told them, look, don't worry about it, just curious, it's going to swim by and check you out and cruise.
Just another day on pirates and shark-infested waters.
Our Marine Department told me they were very friendly. They were just having a look to see what we were doing. I think they're called nurse sharks. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Reef or nurse sharks? Nurse sharks.
They'll still bite, won't they?
They must. They're sharks.
Morning. Hanging in there, man.
Evening.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Day 2 here on the island.
Day 2
of 7. Sure. Everybody's healthy. We got here safely. And transitioned into this pretty well. It's a great crew because, again, we've all known how to work on these islands. The hardest part is the footprints. Is that we can't walk anywhere to get anywhere because everything's in shot. So every day people have to walk ankle deep in this sort of soft mud, sand, to get to the locations carrying equipment. So you'll see us all trudging along the water's edge to get to each place, which makes it harder for the crew.
Thanks, Mom. I love camp.
One of the major problems we had, it's a weird sand. I understand it's actually digested coral from fish, and when you stand on it, you sink past your ankles.
I know, you're sinking. If the water line hits the ledge, you know you're in big trouble.
All the fights, all the choreography on this open space was on this sand and moving, running. So people had to perform on this and wade through it basically. And half of these battles take place through water that's either ankle or mid-calf deep. So that was difficult.
It's hard to walk in the sand, let alone run in it.
Ready, and action!
You're in full regalia, running through the water. It was just exhausting, man. It was days and days and days of that.
I win! It's been great, thank you. See you all, have a nice day off.
And so as the sun sets on another great adventure for Pirates of the Caribbean, it's a wrap and another weekend for us.
We've been to the Exumas, we've been to Dominica, we've been to St. Vincent, and now we're in the Grand Bahamas in Freeport, where we have this enormous tank we built to house our ships.
Our movie, as you know, takes place mostly on the water, especially P3, on boats. So we have 3, 4, 5 boats that all need to be manipulated, gimbaled, or shot in a tank because of the complexities of the sequences with our kraken, our visual effects, whatever the script throws at these boats. So we needed a tank that would accommodate more than one boat.
On a conventional gimbal, you have to basically build a boat in a tank and then flood it with water. I mean, that would be just totally impossible for us to do logistically. So we settled for a design of the tank that we actually can bring the boat in, anchor it, have some kind of a pulley system to gimbal, and take a boat out and bring another one in.
We needed 25 feet of water to build these gimbals where we put these cement rods and steel rods into the ground to hold the ship so we could tip it back and forth. And what we didn't realize is that as we were dredging the sand out, the minute the storms came in, all the sand just came right back in again. And so we had to re-engineer it to get a wall up to protect us from the sand, and had to bring in more of these excavating machines to get the sand out and get the thing done.
Everything we got back was the tank will be ready, the tank will be ready. Just get out of Dominica on time. You know, just get out of Dominica, worry about your own problems. And, you know, you were here, we showed up, 400 people, trailers, motorhome, and it was a construction site.
And for whatever reason, they didn't get the work done that was needed to get done. And so we have our entire cast and crew just sitting around staring at a tank that's not ready to film. And so we're going to have to figure out something to do. This is not a great day for production.
I mean, see what's happening here, these tests, preliminary tests with the buoyancy pin barges there? That was supposed to be April, right? And we were supposed to be shooting, I can't remember, it's like 4 months ago we were supposed to be shooting on a tank. This is the first gimbal test.
No, we got these blue 2 1/4 inch lines that run down to some big giant snatch blocks at the wall, come up underneath the boat to some more snatch blocks. Then they come up to some 2-inch shackles, and then there's these big pads welded on the bottom of the purl in 4 different positions in all corners of the boat, and we're hooking our lines up to that. And then as we pull down and rock the boat, you know, you get that kind of, we'll be getting that kind of motion out of it today.
Okay, ready to pull it over. Ready to go? Ready. Okay, I'm gonna start taking some weight up.
It's very fulfilling to see it finally work. You know, it is compromised, but it's a long time coming. It's not all that Gore wants, but considering, I'm glad we've gotten this far.
This is great. I mean, you know, Gore was really happy when he saw the initial test last night, and this is a home run for everybody involved because, you know, we can finally get in the tank now and get some work done.
Yeah, just like never done that. You see his underwater point of view is the Kraken sucking the whole ship down, right? You know, when he breaks the surface, it's just finishing, you know, some mass crunching.
When we're down there and on the Dutchman, let's discuss our options for tomorrow. We're getting various forecasts, some more severe than others.
Of course, we made these sequels during the most active hurricane season in recorded history, so that was an interesting twist on things.
This is the latest on Hurricane Wilma. So here she is here, projected path Sunday at 8, and Grand Bahama's right there. I think that you know, we probably evacuate, certainly get all the safety, all the sets and everything, wrap all the boats and the marine stuff. That's fun. It's a fun fire drill. We're looking forward to it. That was one of the things in pre-production that was discussed with all the powers that be, the fact that we're going to be shooting during hurricane season. And as they say, the storms happen so frequently, they have a season for it. And we're still in it, and we've been affected by it quite a bit. And this has been one of the biggest hurricane seasons on record.
Tropical storm winds are out 120 miles from the eye right now.
So, you know, if this held true, this is 2 p.m. Saturday, it would be out to almost the edge of Florida, basically.
So we then need to circulate to the crew tomorrow that the potential is we could evacuate as early as Friday, we should say Friday afternoon.
Right.
And here's what
here's what the procedure is.
The informal pull from the crew, they'd rather go to Vegas instead of back home.
That's great.
Well, basically what happened was Wilma went quickly from a tropical depression to storm to hurricane to a Category 5 in a period of less than 24 hours. So based on that and based on the information we got from our meteorologist, we decided to evacuate the crew and to then simultaneously strike the base camp and move everything away from the tank back over to the missile base, just in preparation of the oncoming weather.
Storm, she's a brewing!
We made the decision to pull everybody out just in case it hit this island and lock down our ships in the harbor.
We're gonna spend the day packing up everything, and securing the ships is obviously very important because they're one of a kind. You know, trailers can be replaced, the ships cannot. So it's people, ships, and equipment kind of in that order, and the ships are going to safe harbor, but they do have to ride it out. You know, they're not in a position to run to the Turks or Caicos or go south of here. And all the equipment will be put across the street where it's less likely to get water from the surge.
Well, it ain't going to higher ground. It's just going to safer ground.
It seems like we could have waited a day or so, but this way at least we'll be prudent, people will be out, it'll be safe. It's a great day. We'd love to be shooting today. That's the toughest thing, I think, is knowing that we could have probably eked out another day of filming before we would have had to pack up and go.
I'm bringing no fruits but my wife.
Hey.
We're all disappointed because when we get to shoot, we're getting great stuff. And we were catching a really good rhythm here. I think everybody was, having a good time. The actors were really into their characters. I mean, I think we were getting great material. So it's disappointing that on a movie when momentum is really important to a director. I think he's disappointed that it breaks the momentum. It's hard to remain upbeat, on days like today.
Moving offshore, and the strongest part of the eye wall heading down through the northern Bahamas. So the stronger winds of this eye wall should be arriving over toward the Abacos now and over the next several hours. Again, this is a very quick moving system.
This is devastation. Can't believe it. Oh, it's going to be a huge salvage operation, man. Wow, that's another story.
The after hurricane summary is that we got hit pretty hard. Destroyed a lot of the infrastructure, flipped over a couple trailers, collapsed our pump house around our hydraulic pump units, destroyed the access to our work areas, and so now we've got to quickly clean up and rebuild so that the company can come back and shoot.
Our two main picture boats, the Black Pearl and the Flying Dutchman, are okay. And all of our support boats seem to have made it through pretty well. The major thing here is the erosion. I mean, the water just came in and eroded all the rock and everything away from the sheet pile. And in doing that, it collapsed most of the access ways that we were using for the whole company out to the pump house for the gimbal, and then just all along out front here. It's just, it's all collapsed. So I think it's a major road work that's going to have to come in and fill it in again.
The hurricane hit here, they had, I guess, over 120 mile-an-hour winds, and that damaged quite a bit of the island. But fortunately for us, we only had minor damage considering what could have happened.
There are a number of weather problems that weren't just about hurricanes, but also just about high seas and things like that. And again, you can't predict that. If we're trying to shoot something on a ship, but we're on a crane on a barge next to the ship, if you've got more than 3 or 4 foot seas, you can't shoot.
Because of weather, we have to evacuate this ship. We're evacuating the ship. It's deemed unsafe. We snapped a line here. The whole set could fall over, so...
We're evacuating the ship right now.
Huh?
We're evacuating the Endeavor, so let's hold off on Johnny.
We're evacuating the ship.
That's not good. Well, you know, you're working on the water, which is unpredictable. The weather changes constantly. The wind shifts. The waves go in different directions. It gets too choppy. You can't go out and work. And it's very difficult to have all these things that can go against you.
We had a lot of weather again, and it's kind of shut us down.
Well, we're basically we're 5 minutes from being shut down.
Well, we're shut down. As you can see, we're shut down basically.
So right now we're just kind of suspending the operations until further notice.
So we're shut down today, again. And all of our equipment is in the Exumas, which we're supposed to be getting on a plane and traveling to today, but it's too rough in the Exumas to film. It's too rough to get Zodiacs to the boat. We were going down to the Exumas to shoot three-way sword fight work that we owe for the end of P2. So we were basically committed to a 4-day shoot, moving the entire crew down to the Exumas, hotels, everything. So all the gear went onto these massive barges, camera trucks, all the wardrobe, all the props, everything we needed to shoot those scenes. And basically a storm came out of nowhere on the radar. And the guys are having a tough time. They had to actually take refuge with all the ships. They didn't get down there. They had to stop and kind of circle the wagons. So we're here without camera. We're here without props. We're here without wardrobe. We're here with nothing to shoot. So everybody's just kind of assessing, what can we do? I think what you see on screen, there will be zero effect. I think ultimately we're going to get it done. I think it's just been much longer process, and it's been grueling on the crew, being away from their families, Wilma shutting us down, the schedule changing, the tank not being completed on time, you know, rain days, weather days, coming out of nowhere. It's been hard. It's been hard to get a rhythm. You know, you shoot for a week, 2 weeks, and then you're shut down. And then you shoot for 2 weeks, and then you're shut down. Recently we haven't been doing a nice, you know, 80 days or 70 days or 60 days even. We've been doing 14 days and then stopping. So that's very frustrating. Okay, so here's what we're doing. We're going to shoot some cannons.
Yep.
And then we're going to go out on a boat with an underwater deep-water housing. We'll shoot some the pearls that get turned with the Dutch McClellan.
Once you have a movie of this size and you put it into practice, I mean, a lot of things, no matter how well they were figured out, no matter how many special effects people were on it, how many discussions, how many storyboards, how many pre-vises they've created, you're still dealing with stuff that you just can't conceive. So you have to adapt constantly, and Gorge is good at that too.
That's my life. Shipwreck. No, but I gotta come back.
It is stamina. When you go into day 150, you know, and you're saying, oh my God, you know, I still got 50 days to go to finish this movie. You know, it's daunting, and you know, Gore has that kind of strong work ethic, never tiring, never showing the anger of the events that unfold in front of him, from a hurricane to a bad storm. Those things kind of figures out a way to work around them.
Yeah, but the problem is, the rougher it is, the better it looks on film.
I'd say the biggest challenge with the tank for the Marine Department was trying to create a controllable area to shoot, you know, and right now we just we don't have a lot of control over the environment.
I don't know if you can see out here or not, but there's a sheet pile wall that's just under the surface of the water. At low tide, it's just kissing the surface. At high tide, the surge comes over the wall and allows a little bit more wave action than just the wind chop that you get at low tide.
The tank is basically three-walled, so as the ocean's energy bounces off it, it creates its own wave pool. And the whole idea behind the tank was to create a controllable environment with a gimbal. So we haven't really had the opportunity to get into that much because it's a pretty live environment.
All the waves bounce off the walls in all different directions, and so the boat-to-boat transfers end up, you know, it's a little more motion than we'd like.
Boat-to-boat transfers in our world is the most dangerous thing we deal with on a daily basis, constantly. Yesterday was a great example of that, where we were holding the Black Pearl against the wind. We had like a 4-foot swell rolling in there, and although we've designed these nice little ramps with push knees that come down, the inflatables come up to them, there's still, you know, there's still that misstep. So we're always trying to remind people about the boat-to-boat transfers, but you know, so far we've been okay.
25 knots, 22. You just have to understand that you do not have a complete control over it. Once you accept that, then you can get creative. There's so much beauty in coincidence, you know. If you just open to it, you can capture it.
There's the odd moment as, you know, you lose the 8th pound in weight a day from just sweating so much, where you kind of think, oh, I could do without this. And then you just kind of remember where you are and what you're doing. And, you know, at the risk of sounding a bit kind of holier than thou, but, you know, anything other than pathetically grateful is an inappropriate response, I think.
It's the last day, and it's a beautiful day. Look, have some of that sunrise behind me. It's the last day, it's warm, it's fine, and everyone's in a good mood.
Gonna go for a big fat cheeseburger, baby.
Gore's even taking photographs on the bus, he's never done that. It's nice, look, there he is now, he's taking a picture. I'm gonna miss the weather, I'm gonna miss the sunrise and the sunset. I'm gonna miss the weather. I live in London. And I'll miss the pace. I quite like the pace of the islands. It suits me.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh,
First of all, I want to personally thank everybody and let them know they're working on something that's really extraordinary. So know that you're all working on something really special. This will go on for your kids and your grandkids. This will be a series of films that will go on forever, long after we're gone. So I want to thank you from the bottom of our heart for a great creative team, a great crew, and everybody involved with the show. Thank you so much.
When this is done, I'll have been on this over 2 years. So I wouldn't take a project of that length unless I knew we were doing something special. And I believe in that, and I believe everybody that's working on this, probably to a man and a woman, believes that too. And you know, it's been a hard project, but that's what gives us the ability to drive on and see this out to the end.
Thank you so much. Bohemian Rhapsody.
No matter who I talk to or where I go, if you mention that you worked on Pirates of the Caribbean and you say you're working on the next one, they're just desperate to see it. The expectations are enormously high, which is scary, that you live up to their expectations. I know the creative material is there. I know they made a terrific movie, but you never know until you put it in front of an audience.
There's a lot to look forward to in terms of, what this could be as a film. I'm actually very excited to see it myself. I'll just close my eyes when I come on the screen, and then somebody can poke me when I'm gone.
To be honest, the actual work that goes into it is really difficult, but it is so much fun doing it. I can't imagine it'll ever be done again like this. It sort of feels like the end of an era in terms of making movies in this way, because it's really a huge feat, and I think we all feel very lucky to be doing it.
These movies logistically are becoming so large and so expensive that to actually go out and build 4 or 5 ships and putting the marine units behind them and going to all these remote locations so that everything that's on film, you were really there. The long-term ability for Hollywood to afford to do that may be kind of waning at this point, but if so, then we're going out with a bang. So.
Last day of filming, I thought I'd bring a few interesting facts to your attention. We began shooting 1 year ago, 5 days, and 38 minutes ago. At one point, we had over 1,000 crew members on this show. Our travel coordinator has booked over 10,000 one-way tickets on this movie. That does not include the charters. I know we've all worked on some big movies, but here are some interesting numbers. Number of cell phones distributed in Dominica, 475. Number of batteries used by sound, over 6,000. Number of costumes created, over 8,500. At one time, we had over 200 walkies on the show, and to date, we've lost 70. Between ship rigging, marine, set dressing, and props, we've used 463,000 feet of rope. That's over 87 miles of rope. Between Transpo and Marine, we use 706,000 gallons of fuel. To put that in perspective, if you're lucky enough to have a car that got 30 miles to the gallon, you could circumference the Earth 822 times. Between first unit, second unit, and element unit, we've shot 355 miles of film. That's Los Angeles to Sacramento. I just want to thank a couple of departments here.